what I really got out of this, what cemented this as one of my favorite books, period.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Tutor Ramble episode. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
And I'm your other host, Richard.
And this episode, we have three emphasis on must reads.
We're demanding. This is not a request. You have to read it.
You have to. If you clicked on this video, you're trapped.
Yep. Now you can't click off too. It's a real shame,
it's
but
how it works.
that's how it works.
These are three fantasy book must-reads that are all novella length. They are all short. You can read them in one day. All three of these books, we both read in one day. Actually, one took me 2 days because I stopped. I wanted to do other things. But you could read them in one day.
You can read them. I have read all of these in one day. That was...
Yes.
So, yes.
And the very first one is... If you've seen this channel before, it's no surprise. The other ones maybe will more surprise you, but this one is one of my favorite books of all time. Pure Nessie by Susanna Clarke. So I'm gonna try to properly pitch this. Rich, let's talk about this because when we're gonna pitch this to people, and I know it won't be when I say one of my favorite books of all time, like top 5 books.
Yeah.
When I say that, it's going to set high expectations for people. So I want to set expectations properly, saying it's my personal top 5 favorite, and why you'll see a lot of people raving about it, but also to go in with going, oh, Austin said it's one of his favorites. It must mean it's like Red Rising badass Darrow fights back. It's not that book, okay?
It's not. It's a surprise. If you think, oh, I know Austin's tastes, I must know what this book's about. No, you don't. No, you do not. He's a complicated man. Complicated taste.
There's a couple things that go on in this little head of mine. Sometimes I like to be like Richie, and I like to get a little bit philosophical. Sometimes I like to be like Austin and get a little diabolical.
The main thing is you're a man of extremes. If you want your action, you want the big action. That's the focus. If you want your philosophical books,
go all in.
All in.
Don't give me half and half.
You don't want
I want 2% milk. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Because this is one of my... Would you consider this one of your favorite books?
Actually, I would. Little sneak preview, buddy.
Yes.
My official Rambler rating for this book.
Yes.
Is a 5 out of 5.
Mine too, baby. So,
I love this.
You know why
book.
That's a surprise? Because when we reviewed this book on the channel, and it was a book club book. Join our book club in the link down below. Patreon book club. We read a book along with all the patrons every single month in the Discord. It's great and fun.
Best part about it used to be just about us and like, oh, you get a book club with us, which is cool. It's
every
fun
month
to
you
do.
get that. Yeah.
But our community has grown to such an awesome degree that we have so many community-led book clubs with some great people leading them. It is a ton of fun. You don't even need us in the Discord anymore.
It's kind of sad. They don't need us, but we're kind of happy.
They don't. But, it's great.
We talk every month, books, all that stuff. So this book, I'm saying that because we did our book club on it, then we had a review on this channel. We both love the book.
Yeah.
But... since that review months and months and months ago, this book has gnawed at us, I think.
Yeah, it just sits there of like...
It doesn't leave you.
Almost every category sits with you in a unique way.
Yes.
That it won't let me go.
Yes. To give the concept for this book, it is super unique. It is about this character, Pure Nessie, who is in these endless hallways. In this world of endless halls, and there's mystery, and it's very atmospheric. And why we talk so highly of this book, it has messages in this book that can be taken literally 100 different ways. You can get something different out of this book than Richard and I did. When we discussed this with the patrons, I got things new out of this book from other people discussing about this book. So if you go
100%.
If you go in to read this book, I would say it's an essential thing to buddy read it with somebody, or find somebody else who also does, talk about it with them. It's one of those books.
Definitely. Oh no, I'm trying to remember our patron member that gave me such so many of our patron members
Orcish Dad had a great thing to say about this.
Orcish Dad had a great one.
I don't even want to talk about the messages though, because
it kind of spoils some stuff. So
we're staying spoiler free for all of these, so we don't want to give the message. We might do a re-review of this book because we will do.
I think so.
Yes, we will eventually do a re-review of this.
But if you watched our previous video, or I don't know which one went up first, but if you watched our other video on sci-fi, top 3 sci-fi must-read books, we briefly mentioned Piranesi, and it's similar in style to Annihilation. So if you've read that one, this one is also a book told in journal entries of you start off with an odd date. So it's dated numerically. There's a mystery to kind of how it's...
You want to read it off, Rich?
I will.
I'll bring it to the page.
There's a mystery to kind of how it's structured. This seems like a journal entry, but it's not a standard date.
Yeah, this is how the book starts off. This is exactly what we're just talking about.
When the moon rose in the 3rd northern hall, I went to the 9th vestibule. Entry for the 1st day of the 5th month in the year the albatross came to the southwestern halls. That's the date.
That's the intro.
That's a mystery.
That's the first thing you see in the goddamn book, okay? This is... Susanna Clarke wrote the book Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell back in, I think, 05, 04, something like that. Mm-hmm. Took a huge hiatus and came back with this in 2020.
She actually wrote this book while she was stuck inside. She actually could not go outside and was socially isolated and wrote this book. And boy, does this book have something to say about social isolation in...
Leave it there. Leave it there. Yeah. Let them take it wherever they want. One of the beautiful things about this book is you can get something out of it. After you finish it, come here. Let us know what you got out of it. That would be beautiful. This book didn't win the Hugo because the Hugo sucks.
Actually, that's an interesting point. I've frequently talked about the Hugo. Sorry, little side tangent.
Go side
little
tangent.
But I want to address it because let people know that I am not ignorant of the situation. I mentioned the Hugo Award, and I generally respect the Hugo Award winners. I love a ton of Hugo Award winning books, so I like the award. However, most recent award series, I understand the whole drama, and it's not a one-off, but this is probably one of the worst. Of basically, Hugo Award being hosted in China, and the Chinese government and officials working with the Hugo administration basically censoring books that either that could be seen as offensive to the Chinese government. Basically spoiling the entire award where it is not
no longer
relevant.
merit.
It is no longer merit. In all honesty, the winner of the 2023 Hugo Award really shouldn't accept it. It's a false award. At the very minimum this year, or previous, 2023, that is a irrelevant, meritless award because of how it was manipulated. Not great. Don't appreciate it. However, in years past, I think they pick a lot of great books. So, I just want that to be known.
For future when we mention Hugo.
Exactly.
But
some years are different than others.
Now, what's your opinion on the Women's Prize for Fiction? Because it did win that award.
You know what? I'm going to surprise no one of not an award I follow religiously.
But
maybe I should. But then again, I don't follow a lot of awards.
Well, the fact that this won the Women's Prize for Fiction, I'll be following that now. Because if it gave it to this, it probably gave it to a lot of great books. I mean,
yeah, sure.
This is... on the front of the book, it says, and we said this in our other review, but the quote is, destined to become a work of classic fantasy.
I think so.
Absolutely.
In many ways, it does have that feeling of classic. It has classic feel all through it. I can see this book being read and taught alongside Catcher in the Rye.
Yep.
Scarlet Letter, Great Gatsby. I feel it
Red Rising.
Red Rising.
Imagine a class.
But no, if you're going to teach something like Ender's Game, I honestly feel this belongs in the classroom, especially with how you can learn from the writing techniques. And this has all the juicy stuff that English teachers love to go, like, the curtains are not just blue. They're blue because of the deep sadness that the main character feels toward the ambivalent society and all that bullshit. This book has it in spades.
He loves that bullshit, though.
I do love that bullshit.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
That's really well put. Where this should be taught, but not to detract from the fact that I got to read a book I had to read in high school. It's genuinely atmospheric, and you'll get something new out of it. And I don't want to say like, hey, when you read Catch the Rye, maybe you're hearing those books and going, I was forced to read that, and it gives a bad connotation because you were forced to read Great Gatsby, you were forced to read A Scarlet Letter. So it kind of takes away from you get the choice to read it, and that's what makes it good. So
Sure.
I don't want to take away from read this before your children one day are forced to read it. You could talk about it with your future kids.
There we go.
Or your current
that's a
kids.
better way to put it.
Yes. And this has a 4.23 on Goodreads. One of our other favorite booktubers we've collabed with, Bookborn, loves it. Unfortunately, author Mark Lawrence, was very mixed on it. Gave it a 3-star.
Really?
Yeah. I'm surprised because of his background, too. I'm really surprised. But he was very mixed on it.
What do you have to say?
I just said Mark Lawrence was mixed because he has a long essay on why he was mixed. He did not keep it succinct. But what would you say is you gave your a 5-star on the Ramble rating scale, but what do you think the best categories are? Do you think it just across the board is excellent?
World building.
Yeah.
I was sucked into this world and I was not let go.
Yep.
It absorbed me. I was in, and I was so enthralled by all the little questions it brings up on how this world works together. Pair that with an amazing main character that is truly, truly irreplaceable. Piranesi cannot be taken out of this book, obviously. Name of the main character. But there's a lot of main characters out there where you could put someone else here. No. He's unique. He belongs in this book alone, and he brings this whole story to life with a wonderful, wonderful positive energy that is just infectious.
So well said. Because Piranesi is one of my favorite characters of all time. It's one of the most irreplaceable characters sits in your head, and you understand him so completely by the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we've hyped this book up enough, other than saying there's a quote in the beginning of the book. You'll see this in the first page or two. And this quote, you can take this with you as you read the book, but it says, "The beauty of the house is immeasurable, its kindness infinite." That's in the first page or two of the book. I think it's a beautiful line, and you'll see throughout the book and read it. And I hope you guys enjoy if you've read this book, or if you're going to go out and read this book.
Especially how significant that line is carried through the book. It's wonderful to keep that one in mind and see how its meaning changes by the end.
Absolutely. You want to go on to second? I know we hyped this up a ton, Rich.
Yep.
This second book, I really like this second book. I think it's a great book.
I like it more.
Is it another 5-star for you?
It is.
It's another 5-star Richard Rambler rating.
Get another 5-star Richard Rambler rating. The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. My personal favorite writing that Brandon Sanderson has ever created. And the awards agree with me. It's the winner of the Hugo Award. Personally, when it was more relevant, he has not won another Hugo Award.
He won it back in 2013 for Best Novella.
Yeah.
And
so,
again, it's another novella, super short. You give it a 5-star. I give it a 4-star. It's a great book. It's a great book, but you are so much more enthusiastic about it than me. Can you pitch to the audience, why is this book so significant? Why did it floor you? Why is it one of your favorite books ever? And your favorite Sanderson. He's done Stormlight. He's done Mistborn.
Oh, I know. This is better than Stormlight. I said
Tell him why. Give him a spoiler free of why.
So this story, I'm giving chapter 1 type spoilers very early, but give you the setting. Shai is a forge master. Mainly she counterfeits arts and she scams and she makes forgeries of different art pieces to make her living. In this world, she has forged a famous art piece from this empire, and she is caught. She's put in prison, and now the emperor of this, empire, is brain dead. And all of his advisors are trying to keep that secret. And so they task.
Well, he's brain dead because an assassin came, right? Assassin came was successful, but they killed the assassin before the assassin left.
Yeah.
And the people with the king were essentially now going, okay, we can't let them know the assassination worked because he is brain dead. He's not dead, but the assassin got him brain dead.
And so what they task our main character Shy with reforging his soul. The magic system works in which objects and people can actually be influenced by the magic through a stamp or seal. You can alter the history of a object or person as long as it's close to what could have been. So it requires a level of intimate knowledge about the thing or person to change its history. And that can either be temporary or permanent. So through a complex use of studying the emperor, who he is, who he was, what he wanted to be, interviewing other people, she goes through the process of reforging his soul and bringing him back to life again. So that's how he...
Fascinating, right?
And then you have a ticking clock. She has 100 days.
Yep.
Or she's executed. So I think a really great premise. This novella takes place in the same world as Elantris, Sanderson's first book.
But you don't need to read Elantris to read this.
You don't.
You could just read this and stop. It's a standalone.
What I really got out of this, what cemented this as one of my favorite books, period, is first and foremost the messaging of what is the nature of a soul. I think personally this is a great book on motherhood. My mother actually read this book after I recommended it to her, and we talked about it, and she made some amazing points on the nature of motherhood and how you raise a child is not necessarily... You don't...
Well,
I don't want to give too much...
Don't spoil anything.
I can't spoil it. It's hard, but think about that when you read it. The nature of what art is itself is a forgery the same as the original. Does originality matter in art? If you've taken an art history class, they typically say yes, but this book challenges that idea, which is great. I was captured by the characters, captured by the magic system and the world it presents. Incredibly thought-provoking that it just stuck with me. I loved the prose. I thought it was beautifully written, and how succinct this is. And I jumped the gun here. The book is 3 hours, 55 minutes long on Libro.fm, or 31,925 word count, 175 pages total. You can finish this in just about 2 hours.
It is not Sanderson's typical length. Patrick Leo says it best in his review. He says, absolutely incredible. Apparently, 105 pages are sufficient for Sanderson to craft a fantastic story with a strong beginning, wonderful characterizations, memorable climax scene, and a satisfying conclusion. That Burst Soul has become my favorite novella of all time. It has qualities that surpassed a lot of other fantasy novels I've read.
He said it better than I can. It's amazing.
And on that thought-provokingness, even my 4-star overall does not represent the thought-provoking and message here is a 5-star. It will floor you. This book sticks with you in that regard. And I see exactly why you have that 5-star love for this book. And on a reread, I want to see if that changes for me, because I read this book while I was on the best vacation of my life. And I didn't want to escape my vacation I was on. And I was on a fantastic vacation while reading this. And the book, after I read it, stuck with me. Some like talking about that message with you. So it's a 5-star there. In retrospect, I wonder if I read it again, it'll go up. And I'm sure
I think you should. And it's a short read.
Oh, I could
as well.
easily do it. Yeah.
I would reread it again, especially with you. Yeah. Just to give another good review about it.
Okay. You know what?
It's been a while.
Pure Nessie and Emperor Soul getting new reviews.
Yeah, I'd be fine. Yeah, let's reread them.
Fuck yeah. Okay, so you guys better read these to catch up. Okay? That's incredibly put from you and mostly Patrick. I think he did it.
He always does better.
No, good job, though.
No, so my highest categories is overall, I gave it a 5. I gave emotional impact a 4.75. The thought-provokingness, I gave it a 5 as well. And then lastly, world, I think, was a 5 out of 5 stars.
You love the magic
mainly
system.
The magic system is my favorite Sanderson magic system. that he's created, more so than Allomancy. And Allomancy is amazing. I think also the big surprise for me with this book is if you've read Sanderson's books and you really enjoy them, but at least for me, the prose is simple, clear, it's understandable. I like the prose, but I don't love Sanderson's prose. It's good, but not amazing for me. This really shows me that Sanderson can shine with his prose and make beautiful lines that it really stands out of his writing talent. So I highly recommend people read this book.
Turns out the man doesn't have to turn out 500,000 words for a book. He can craft his words better. Turns out that's the case. I hope we convince some people to read this at Pure Nessie. Do you want to go on to the third book that we recommend, Rich?
I think so.
The third book, and you see the smile I have right now? You see the smile, Rich?
I do.
It is Mort by Terry Pratchett. Mort is the fourth Discworld book in the Discworld series, but it is the perfect introduction to the Discworld. If you were ever curious about reading Discworld, this would be your first one to read. It is the first one that features a character that is throughout a lot of these books in Discworld, Death. Death is the first appearance with Death, and you don't need to read the Discworld books in order. You don't have to read 1, 2, 3, 4, but you can. This is a fantastic one to start with. And Rich, this book for me is just a classic peak Terry Pratchett hilarity.
And the funny thing is, this isn't even the best. This isn't even the best Death book, but if we're recommending books, you have to start here before you get to the better. I'm just saying it's amazing. And it gets better.
And that's it's one of the shorter ones, too, is the important thing. Like, you can read this in a day. These small guides...
I have read it in a day.
You have, yeah.
However, the length is 7 hours and 56 minutes on Libro.fm.
Okay.
Page count...
On 1.3 speed or something. That's like 5-6 hours. It's nothing.
Like, if you physically read it, you're probably going to take 4 hours to read it, which I did read this in one day myself. But it's about 250 pages. So
not bad at all.
A little bit longer than the other books that we've recommended here, but I think it still counts because I personally read it in one day. That means you can too.
Just to give you a snippet of the beautiful Terry Pratchett prose and why, before we get there, what's the book about? Hold on. To pitch you why to read this book, this is...
Go ahead, give us the pitch.
This book is about a character named Mort who...
Which means death in French.
There you go, yeah.
A patron and a commenter mentioned that before. I now know.
Because we did review this book as well. Yes. And we still hold the high praise we had when we reviewed it the first time. This is following a character named Mort, who's more of a simpleton who needs a job, and his dad's trying to get him a job. The job he picks up is from the literal personification of Death.
Death wants to go on a vacation, and so he needs an assistant to take over some of the workload. So he goes to a village and just goes... let's go to this job fair and pick up a boy. So
he needs someone to play the role of the Grim Reaper. And throughout this book, Mort plays Death, and Death plays human. They swap roles, and you see what that does. And Death explores what it means to be a human, while Mort explores what it means to no longer be Mort. Because Death and Mort are similar in the way of Mort's a simpleton who really doesn't have much personality to him. Death...
He grows. That's the thing. He starts off. It's a wonderful.
It's amazing.
He's such a blank slate at the beginning, and he grows to such a degree by the end of having a very unique personality through his adventure. Like his personality really shines through this adventure.
Absolutely,
and it's fun to see. And same thing with Death. Already, like Death is from the get-go pretty charming, and a wonderful look at the best personification of Death by far in any medium. But in this book, you kind of explore it's not really what it means to be human entirely. That's maybe broad. I think it's more on the challenges that it takes to be mortal and just the trying to wrap your head around the passage of time and how that affects how we enjoy life and how we go through life. things are enjoyable because they're limited. That ultimately we can enjoy life because it one day ends. Death doesn't have that, so how does he enjoy things? And find different ways to do that. But it's a great thing to see how death explores that.
Exactly. And in a way, it's looking at the absurdity of humans and our fun. And it's the absurdity of, like, it makes you question, wait, why do humans do this? And you're putting that limited on, hey, we are mortals. And so, but death, looking at it from death's point of view, you almost have to, as the reader, take his point of view and go, wait, when you mention that about humans, you're kind of, I get it. Like, why do we do that? And so it makes you, it kind of takes the lens off and lets you look from an immortal's point of view on our human folly. It's really cool.
It's kind of funny to see a character who has seen the beginning and the end of the universe, quite literally has all the cosmic knowledge and has, reached nirvana in the kind of odd sense.
Yeah.
But is trying to understand the simple things of hanging out with a friend or figuring out, why do people fish? Why do humans do this? Is this fun? What is fun?
Why do humans drink?
I know the reason, and I know the reason behind the universe, but why the hell do humans like to fish? Why do they find this fun?
Well, one of the quotes from, I think this is from Mort's point of view, where Mort was, this is the narrator saying this, Terry Pratchett. He was determined to discover the underlying logic behind the universe, which was going to be hard because there wasn't one. And another one of my favorite quotes in here. Well, blank me, he said, a blanking wizard. I blanking hate wizards. You shouldn't, or no, I hate blanking wizards. You shouldn't blank them then, muttered one of his henchmen, effortlessly pronouncing a row of dashes. Just really cute things like this. And one of my favorite, it's so good. It's so good. And then here's another quote. So Mort's getting robbed in this scene, and they're saying to Mort, like, give us your money. So he says, give us your money. One of them had drawn a knife, which he waved in little circles in the air. He advanced slowly towards Mort, while the other two hung back to provide immoral support. He is a wordsmith. It is so funny. And Matt's fantasy reviews on Goodreads was also saying how it's so strange that humor is so subjective, and some people find some things funny, but for some reason Pratchett is able to breach that barrier and be funny for almost everyone.
Yeah.
If you want to read a book that'll make you smile, laugh, be giddy, the previous two we mentioned, so Pure Nessie and Emperor's Soul, aren't smiley books. They are very thought-provoking, and they will sit with you. They are intense, and they are unique.
Emperor's Soul is exciting too. It has some fun into it.
Not smiles, not laughs ever.
You're
not getting that, because with Mort, you are getting smiles, laughs, fun. Emperor's Soul, I get like that plot. It's exciting. It's a more page turner. What's going to happen next? This is you will just be a joy ball of fun, if that's even a word. This book of all of them will teeter your totter because you'll be laughing. Then the person that is next to you while you're laughing will be like, stop fucking laughing. You're reading a book, you pretentious prick. And then you start laughing again because it's one of those books that people feel jealous when you're just, as you're reading the book, and they feel bad because they're not reading the book. That's why, have you ever done that when you're reading a book in a room with somebody else and you're just having the best time and then other people feel uncomfortable?
Oh, yeah. Just when I'm having a good time and other people don't like that.
Yeah, see? It's Schadenfreude.
Yeah. It's the opposite.
Right, it is the opposite of Schadenfreude. Yeah. the antithesis. Yeah.
Gotta get your German better. I've tried to teach you some other German phrases, but I won't repeat it. But Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. Thank you. You're not even German, are you?
No.
You just respect the 1940s Germany.
You have to respect your enemies. Hey, for a tiny country to like nearly take over the world, you got to respect.
You got to study it, how to prevent that again, because that's some crazy circumstances.
You you never respect weakness. No one could call Germany in the 1940s weak per se.
Weak morals, we could say.
Weak morals, more so than weak. Broken is better, but
Broken, very broken morals.
Very broken.
So those are the 3 books we got recommended for you. Piranesi, Emperor's Soul, Mort. Oh, did you give your star rating for Mort?
I did not.
What is your star rating?
I gave it a 4.25 out of 5.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Spectacular book. And I ask you that because how would you rank these 3 books? That's tough with the first 2.
That's hard for the first
Mort
2.
is third for... actually, Mort's not third for me. I would go Emperor's Soul, Mort, Piranesi. That is my 3. I imagine you go Mort third, but then what would you do for your top 2?
Ooh, it's so hard. I think the uniqueness of Piranesi just edges it out for me. So I'd go Mort third, then Emperor's Soul, then edges out Piranesi. And Piranesi just gets it for the originality and uniqueness. But as far as styles and everything else, how much I love the books, I find them pretty equal.
If you want to go read these 3 books, you guys have 3 days to come back with a review. We have all the affiliate links in the description below. You can go buy them there while also supporting us. Check out our Patreon, which you can join us for book clubs every single month.
Buy a shirt from us. We have merch down there. Bookmarks. We
Do
put
it.
time and effort into those.
Lots of time and lots of effort. We are so, pride is a sin, but we are proud of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with them. The pride, when you say the word you're proud of something, it just feels like egotistical,
It does feel wrong.
It does feel wrong.
That is why it's a cardinal sin.
It is. Yeah. we are extremely egotistically happy. Is that a good?
Good.
It's just as worse. So go check out those books. And the reason we want you to do that is just like our 3 sci-fi novellas we had you go out and read. Hopefully you did that and come back. Come back in 3 days with your review of these 3 books, your Rambler rating. And we want to see what you think of them, okay? We hope we lead you in the right direction. We hope we niched you correctly. Rich, any final saying to the people?
Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.
Wow, that was so sweet.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.